Massive news announced by Dana White literally about 30 minutes ago. We've got Jiri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira for the vacant light heavyweight world championship as the co-main event of Jones versus Miocic at UFC 295. And we also have Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards, also official as the main event of UFC 296 in December, with a co-main event of Alejandro Pantoja versus Brandon Royval. I'm going to go through all of this information and talk about it in today's MMA news reaction video. So Dana White comes out at 3:30 a.m. UK time. Thank you for that, Dana White. And says all of this information. Crazy fights, all been made official. Let's be honest, we all knew these fights were probably going to be made before the end of the year. There was some uncertainty over whether or not they would give Brandon Moreno another shot against Alejandro Pantoja, but I think they realized that they've gave him like 5 title fights in a row now, so they've got to kind of give him that matchup against a contender finally. I wish they'd keep that same energy with Israel Adesanya, but Royval's got the title shot, and other than that, we were just kind of wondering when these fights were going to take place. We knew before the end of the year, but we were all hoping for Covington versus Edwards in the co-main event of Jones versus Miocic, so we could see Colby Covington at the same press conference as John Jones, because I really do believe that would have sold an incredible amount of pay-per-views and added to the pay-per-view sales of that card massively. However, this way, although we don't get that legendary Covington-Jones press conference moment where Covington was about to absolutely cook him on the main stage, we now get to amazing main events. Covington-Edwards, huge main event on its own. Jiri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira complements the Jones-Miocic card very well. So let's talk about these in order. We're going to start with Jiri Prochazka versus Alex Pereira. You know what? I'm kind of glad this one isn't happening in December. I like Alex Pereira's activity here. He's not getting any younger. Jiri Prochazka's a little bit younger than Alex Pereira, but I believe Alex Pereira is about 35 years of age, which is pretty crazy when you think about it, but I'm pretty sure he's 35 years of age. He's 36 years old, just turned 36 2 months ago. So yeah, I'm glad he's staying active. I didn't want to wait until December to see Jiri return. He's been out for so long anyway. But now we have this matchup, and the storyline could be that Glover Teixeira has his guy in Alex Pereira to redeem his loss for the title all that time ago against Jiri Prochazka. That's the storyline they're going to go with. Just how Alex Pereira trained up Strickland to beat Adesanya. History repeats itself. We've got Glover Teixeira training up Pereira to beat Jiri. I think Pereira's going to beat Jiri by KO. I really do. I think activity is going to be a big key here as well. He just fought at light heavyweight. He's staying in shape. It's not like he took a ton of damage against Jan Blachowicz. I mean, I'm sure he was sore after that fight, but he's staying active. I like that. That means he's staying in shape. And Jiri's going to have been out for a very long time. Yeah, I think Jiri has been out since when? Jiri Prochazka has been out of the cage since, I believe, December of last year. Oh no, it wasn't even December of last year, because I think that was when the rematch was supposed to be scheduled. I think it might have been a little bit earlier than that. Like, it might have even been May of last year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to find out right now. It was Jiri Prochazka in June of last year in Singapore against Glover Teixeira, and he hasn't fought since. I can't imagine a worse fighter to go up against at light heavyweight right now, after a long layoff, when you're going to be a little bit jittery in the first round, and maybe mistakes are going to be made, than Alex Pereira in that first round. We know Jiri Prochazka is not going to grapple. He might do, but at the same time, Alex Pereira just had Jan Blachowicz on his back for an entire round, who on paper is a better grappler than Jiri. I know Jiri showed ability against Glover Teixeira, but at the same time, in terms of like jiu-jitsu offense, Jan Blachowicz has the credentials in that department. Maybe Jiri can do the same, but I don't think it's as much of like a just take him down forehead type thing. You know what I mean? I don't think it's like a, what you doing, dude? Just take him down. Easy work. Oh, it's Pereira, dude. Just take him down. I think that's no longer a thing that you can just say about a matchup with Alex Pereira anymore. I think you're going to have to give him some things to worry about on the feet nowadays. And I can see Jiri Prochazka. Although I love Jiri, amazing fighter, really fun to watch, one of the most exciting fighters in the history of the sport, fight per fight. Never had a boring performance ever in his career. 29-3 with, I believe, how many finishes? I mean, I think he's gone to decision once in his entire career by win. I'm going to say it's like once. So he's 29 wins, 28 finishes. Absolutely crazy. He's got a history of people stopping on the stall against him as well, by the way, in the corner. In Rokas, Dambraskas, Mikhail Fialka. These guys were guys on the regional scene. He also stopped Vadim Nemkov on the stall as well, because in Rising, the rounds were 10 minutes long, so there was a bit more of that happening with guys taking too much damage within one round. But I just think Jiri is so wild. He got cracked by Glover on the feet. He got cracked by Reyes on the feet and wobbled. He got cracked by Ozdemir on the feet and wobbled in round 1. Does he survive being cracked and wobbled by Alex Pereira? That is the problem I'm having, because if Ozdemir can do it, if Reyes can do it, if Glover can do it in moments as well, I'm worried for Jiri. I'm really worried for Jiri. He's very open. Now, Jiri could go out there. I love this matchup, dude. I love this matchup, Jiri versus Pereira. Jiri could go out there, march him down and beat him up, you know. Like, that is a reality where the light heavyweight Tony Ferguson could finally just march down Pereira and just absolutely out-chad him in this contest. That's why I love Jiri. But he's going to do that into a left hook of Pereira, in my opinion. So I'm going to have to go with a Pereira left hook KO. And that is huge if Alex Pereira can pull this off. Now, what we need to happen as well is for Walker to beat Ankalaev, because nobody wants Ankalaev to win and become champion by taking people down. Get out. You're ruining the sport. But if Alex Pereira becomes the light heavyweight world champion, first of all, he gets a wicked win. Second of all, that would be unprecedented. Like, that would be absolutely crazy if he somehow manages to pull that off, you know. That would be absolutely ridiculous if Alex Pereira somehow manages to pull that off. He's 8-2 in MMA, you know. And he only started returning to MMA seriously in 2021, when he was already 3-1. So he beat Andreas Michailidis in his debut, beat Bruno Silva, beat Sean Strickland in his third fight after taking MMA seriously. So basically, within the space of, let's say, 2 years, or 3 entire years, just under 3 entire years, he's won his fight on the regional scene to get signed to the UFC, had his kickboxing fight, so let's go even later than that. In the space of 2 years, from November of 2021 to now maybe November of 2023, when this fight is going to take place, he will have gone from making his debut to becoming middleweight champion, to winning at light heavyweight to get his title shot, and then to becoming light heavyweight world champion. If that happens, you got to give him his flowers. Jiri's dangerous, extremely dangerous. Could pull it off, I understand. I just think he's waiting for that Pereira left hook counter. And I can see it coming. I really can, after Jiri's had so much time off with injury. I like Jiri. I wouldn't mind if he wins. But I'm going to go with Pereira. I think he's got momentum right now. Confidence. And I think he'll land that KO blow. We move on to another fight that got announced. Colby Covington versus Leon Edwards is now going to be the main event of that December card. Let me get off of Tapology real quick so this bright light gets out my face. The fact that this wasn't the co-main event of the Jones-Miocic card tells me that Jones didn't want this as the co-main event of that card, which is very sad in my opinion. But I'm okay with it, because now we get 2 massive main events. Don't get me wrong, Pereira-Jiri is a massive fight, but I think Covington-Edwards holds its own on a card a little bit more. You can't sell a card purely off of Pereira-Prochazka. You can, but it's not going to do the same as if you sold a card purely off of Covington-Edwards. Covington is going to make that fight sell, and Edwards has now built a bit of a name up for himself. So that is huge in December 16th. Huge. And wait, we've got a Fight Night China in December 9th. What's this? I didn't even know about this. Oh, well, Zhang Weili's probably going to return on that versus Yan Zhaonan. You can count that one. I didn't even realize that got announced. UFC Fight Night China. Wow. December 9th. That's huge. That's huge news as well. But either way, December. Covington-Edwards. I'm starting to feel like Covington wins, you know. Starting to feel like Covington wins. Just because I can kind of trust him to shoot a bunch of takedowns. And the thing is about Usman, he'll shoot a takedown, and if he doesn't get it, he'll kind of bail on doing it for the rest of the round. You know what I mean? And Edwards was good enough in the clinch not to get held up against a cage, to find his way off the back of the cage. But Covington will relentlessly wrestle. And although I think to myself, you know what, Edwards could like out-low kick him early on and chop at his legs and land body kicks and maybe land some big shots that limit the ability of Covington as the fight goes on. I think Covington's going to go out there on the mindset of, I've been training this whole time. They're giving me my final shot at the title. If I just put on a heavy grappling pace here, I think I can take down this dude and keep him there. And I think Edwards, if he gets put to a high pace, an extremely high pace like Covington can put him to, although Edwards has got a head kick KO over Usman, his finishing potential isn't crazy high. That's something you have to admit. With Edwards' fights, he fights just above his level of competition, and sometimes that means that he doesn't get the finish, okay? And it takes something miraculous to happen in order for him to get that finish. So I don't think Covington's going to have to worry about getting KO'd early by Edwards. I don't see that happening. I reckon Covington's going to be able to take him down, you know. I think Covington's going to be able to take him down. And I think Edwards can get back up, which is why originally I was thinking, you know what, Edwards could do it. But I think Covington's going to take him down a bunch. So if he gets back up, time to defend the other one. And if he gets out of that one, well, here comes another one, dude. Oh, I've got your back now. I've got a body lock on your back. I'm dragging you down to the canvas again. And I think he can fight at such a wrestling pace that Usman can't. Usman is pure explosivity in his wrestling. He'll get a big dunk. He'll pick up someone and slam them on the canvas. Whereas Covington will drown people with his wrestling. And sometimes technical get-ups and takedown defense, it works, but for how long does it work? How many takedowns will that work for? And it's a little bit more of a demoralizing way of out-wrestling someone. Usman picks you up and slams you on the ground. You know what I mean? You got picked up and slammed on the ground. Covington gives you, like, no breather. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh my God, I just got back up and now I'm getting taken down again. It's a very rough style to fight against. And if you just look at wrestling credentials, I know Usman had the credentials as well, but I think Usman was on his last legs. Like, I think his knees are spent. That's why I picked him to lose to Edwards. I was thinking Usman is not looking as good. Like, people saw the KO over Masvidal with Usman and went, he's so much better now. And I was thinking, nah, his footwork's not looking as good. He's slowing down. He's not looking as switched on anymore. I think the injuries do catch up to Usman over time. Covington don't have those same injuries. You don't hear about Covington out with an ACL injury. He's just out because he's out and he gets what he wants, I guess, which is annoying. But now, because it's in December, first of all, I think Covington can win by drowning Edwards. But now, because it's in December, looks like Bilal's going to have to stay busy. In the meantime, I think, what do you guys think about that? I can't, you know what, if Edwards and Covington win, I reckon they'll be looking to return around May of next year. I'm not trying to wait until May of next year to see Belal Muhammad fight. I think he needs to fight one more time against Shavkat Rakhmonov. And we need to see that happen. If he doesn't, and he said he doesn't want to be a backup opponent for a title fight. I'm just listening to his words. We might need to see him versus Rakhmonov on this December card, on the condition that if anything happens in the main event, Belal, you can get a title shot. Maybe that's what the UFC is going to try and pull off. I think that's what they will try and do. And if they do, I think that'll be an amazing card. We can add a lot more to it. And speaking of other things that are on that card, we've got Pantoja versus Royval. I was worried at first they were going to give Moreno another title shot, because I wouldn't be surprised if they did at this point. But, yeah, I get it. They're going with Brandon Royval. They need a bit of new blood. Now, Pantoja did smoke Royval in the last fight. So I am going to have to go with Pantoja, because I don't think Royval has improved all that much, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I think Alejandro Pantoja's good. I think he has improved himself. But with Royval, he's just a bit malnourished and weak for the flyweight division, in my opinion. He's dangerous, but Pantoja's got a wicked chin. Like, I've seen him take massive shots off Figueiredo and still stay standing in that fight and recover when he got hurt in that fight. Royval, I don't trust him to get that finish the same way he will against Nicolau, the same way he did against Matt Schnell. Matt Schnell's known to be a bit chinny, but he got the guillotine choke on Matt Schnell instead. He hurt Kai Kara France, got the guillotine choke on him. I don't see him subbing Pantoja, so that takes away that method of victory for him. And I think Pantoja's just too dog tough to be KO'd by Royval. Plus, Royval's going to have been out for a bit, 8 months, fought in April of this year. Pantoja just became champ. It's time for him to make that money finally and not have to be an Uber driver anymore, I guess. Bad with finances. That's not on the UFC. You were making 80 grand to beat people like 2 years ago, so why are you an Uber driver? Fight more than once a year. You're on a doctor's wage. Get over it. Either way, I think he's going to beat Royval. I think he'll be able to do what he did before. Hurt him on the feet, sub him on the ground. I think he's better on the ground, stronger. That's huge for Pantoja. That is huge for Pantoja. I can't stress that enough. Moreno was out grappling Royval in their fight, you know? And Pantoja was just getting the better of Moreno in their fight in the grappling. He's strong for flyweight. Very strong for flyweight. And I think he'll be able to get down Royval, get his back, and maybe choke him out in this fight. So I'm going to go with Alejandro Pantoja getting another rear naked choke, maybe this time in round 1. But that's a wicked co-main event to have. And I guess they're going to do Zhang Weili versus Yan Xiaonan in China. They're going to China in December. Huge news. I think they do in December if they want. Yan Xiaonan versus Zhang Weili. Song Yudong versus someone. Could be Piotr Yan. He trains at Tiger Muay Thai. He's from Siberia. Similar part of the world. Maybe they'd make that matchup happen. I want to see Yan versus Cruz, but they might just go with Song Yudong versus Piotr Yan. Good matchup anyway. That could be the co-main event. And then they could do a Li Jingliang versus probably Kevin Holland. I think Holland would be up for it, taking that fight. He likes fighting anyone. That's a big matchup that hasn't been made yet. So maybe he doesn't get Neil Magny, and maybe he gets Li Jingliang instead. But either way, those are the matchups that can be on that China card. Yeah, amazing news at 3:30 a.m. UK time, Dana. Thanks for that, mate. Thought I'd have a bit of an early night, but all good. Looks like I'm going to troop on. I don't need sleep. Sorry. It's getting tough. But either way, amazing news. Looking forward to all of them. And let's see what other fights get announced for those cards. I'm assuming Pimlet's going to be on the December card. Ian Gary's probably going to have a fight on one of those cards as well. JDM says he wants a fight on one of those final pay-per-views. We got matchups to make. See you later. Goodbye.